This RAPTOR King of Tough Betting Picks 2024 edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Gametime, your home for the lowest priced last-minute tickets. Download the Gametime app today. Use promo code SGPN for $20 off. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up today using promo code SGPN and then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/dog to enter our bonus contest. 5 winners will receive shirts, hats, and a $50 SGPN gift card. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month and start making smarter bets today.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
The week continues on, and we continue to talk racing things. It is, of course, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Today, we break down probably one of the cooler names in the entire circuit, the RAPTOR King of Tough betting Xfinity race there in Atlanta. So, listen, we've already done trucks. Oh, my God, we already did trucks earlier in the week. So if you're waiting for a truck episode, and you thought, where's the truck episode? Hey, guess what? Go back a couple days. We actually did it already. Did the Cup Series yesterday, and now moving on to the Xfinity before we close the week out DFS style. Cody, I've had so much fun digging back through Atlanta. I forgot what getting back into the grind meant. So a lot of fun to be back at it.
It has been a lot of fun. Yeah, man, just another week. This will be another week full of picks. I love it. We're into the season now. It's great. And yeah, we're gonna have maybe a repeat of last week in some ways, right? The drafting super speedway style of track that Atlanta is now. So it's gonna be fun to talk about it and give out some more picks.
Again, Atlanta, if you are still kind of stumbling on this show for whatever reason, Atlanta a couple of seasons ago was a normal 1.5 mile track, and not really normal. It was still kind of fast, but they decided to heck with it. We're going to speed things up. We're going to make this into a super speedway-esque race. They raised the banking, did a lot of the maneuvers that they had to do. And now we consider this a third super speedway track on the circuit where, again, it's not a true super speedway. It's what our friend Derek Yoder on the betting preview show is called a handling super speedway. Or what did we the other day? A super intermediate is what I think JDK.
Super intermediate, which that's actually, I do really like that one a lot. JDK, I think he's hired. He's come up with a good. He had the car lift idea for us too. So yeah, keep shooting those ideas over, JDK. We appreciate it. But so 2021 was an intermediate normal track. So 2021 and before, That's all completely irrelevant. Doesn't matter at all. 2022 on, it's been repaved, reconfigured, and now it is very similar to the super speedway style of racing. They'll be drafting. You'll have the pack racing. Like we talked about earlier in the week, right? It's not going to be as wide, so not quite as easy to go 3 wide. You'll still see it at points, but probably not as much as we did at Daytona. And it's going to be a lot of the same. The betting strategy is almost the same. You can lean a little bit more towards the favorites in this track, I think, but not completely. The long shots are still going to have plenty of options. We're going to talk about a lot of guys that we talked about last week. It's going to be kind of the same stuff to a degree, right? There's obviously different drivers in this and everything else. And we learned some stuff last week from Daytona as well, but a lot of similarities coming over from last week at Daytona.
Yeah, and again, this is really the last week in which you will have sort of an advantage of taking long shots. And as we settle down into what is the bulk of the schedule, the 1.5 miles, the road courses now, we'll definitely get into some different styles of strategies. But again, as Cody alluded to, this is sort of you have to treat it like a super speedway, even though it's not a full-on super speedway, because you have to allot for the fact that in these draft races, they're packed so tightly together. And this is probably going to be a couple of files. They very few times do they want to duck out into a third lane, because that really spells disaster on this track. So you won't see as much jockeying as you would on a Daytona or a Talladega, but you're still going to see a lot of it because these cars are going to be close together.
Yeah, absolutely. You nailed it. And yeah, it's going to be similar. You're going to have the big wrecks, all right? That's going to happen. So you've got to account for that when you go and place these bets.
Indeed. Of course, this is the Xfinity Series. We will have some Cup drivers. We'll break the field down for you. But Cody, there's a couple of things that we need to touch on in the news, right? There's a couple of announcements to be made.
Yeah, a couple of driver announcements that were made today. Derek Kraus is going to be driving in the 16 car in the Cup Series for 6 races this season. That'll start next week at Las Vegas. We're going to see him a couple weeks, Vegas and Phoenix back to back. He'll be at Kansas, Darlington, Gateway, and Phoenix. So all ovals for him. This is an interesting move. I think that this, I don't ever want to hate on these kids for getting these opportunities because it's great for them. But it is a clear, hey, we're literally going to put whoever we can get funding from in these rides move, which, hey, it's a business. Do what you want as far as, their motto of chasing trophies. Again, I think driver selection points to something different. So probably not a guy we'll be talking about a lot, maybe fading him a little bit if we get the opportunity, but he is going to have his first 6 Cup Series starts in the 16 car for Colleague. Interesting because he's a guy that doesn't even have a ride in Xfinity or trucks. Can't get, he had a full-time ride in the trucks, got kicked out. Derek Kraus comes in, does 10 times better than him in the same truck. And now he's like part-time for Colleague in Xfinity, part-time for them in Cup, just piecing together deals. So again, interesting thing. Wish him nothing but the best. But also, Carson Qualpole is going to get an opportunity to run the 88 Junior Motorsports car in Xfinity at Martinsville, so that won't be until April. But it's kind of a big thing. He's a 2-time Cars Tour champion. He's the guy who replaced Josh Berry in the late model, right? And Josh Berry was working in a bank and on iRacing when he met Dale Jr., comes up through the pipeline, worked on the late model himself, drove it, won a lot with it. And then he started to teach Carson about it. And once Josh moved on up, Carson slid into that car. He's been doing well, obviously 2-time champion for Cars Tour. He does a lot of working on it as well. His father, Travis, was in the Cup Series for quite a few years, a third Penske car at one point, the 77 Kodak car. That was always a beautiful car. So yeah, he spent some time in the Cup Series as well. So another kind of legacy driver, but coming up through that bluegrass way of getting there. So it'll be exciting to see him get a start. Martinsville's a good place for him, coming from the late models, right? The short, flat tracks. I think that'll be good relation for him as far as track-wise. So another guy to keep an eye on because, it looks like he's probably a guy we'll be talking about for a while, right? When Dale Earnhardt Jr. believes in you, and he really takes that. If he has a guy, he takes that seriously. Josh Berry, and Junior's been known to not really put guys in cars unless there is funding there as well. It's a balance with him between talented guys and money. A lot of people have asked why Jeffrey's not in the car sometimes, being his nephew and everything. And Jeffrey doesn't bring a lot of funding and everything. But Josh Berry, Dale Jr. worked hard to get Josh Berry funding, worked out deals with like Tire Pros where Junior was in the commercials and stuff to get him on the Barry car, get him in there. So, and now look, he's in the 4 car replacing Kevin Harvick in the Cup Series. So if Dale Jr. believes in you, you look back to guys like Brad Keselowski back in the day driving that same 88 Xfinity car back when it was the Navy car. If Dale Jr. believes in you, it's not a bad thing. So Carson Kvapil, probably a name you'll continue to hear throughout the next many years.
And it'll just be fun to watch the 88 back on the track again. That's always a car number that you always like to see. Even in the Cup Series, it was fun to watch the 88. So
they're going to have quite a few. I think that I see all the 88 scheduled for like 16 or 18 races in Xfinity this year. So a 5th JRM car for Rod to bet on a lot of the time is going to be pretty cool. And then I don't remember, did we bring up the Frankie Muniz, Joey Gase Motorsports thing the other day?
Yeah, that we talked about. He bought into it. So
yeah, that looks like there was a leaked picture of inside the trailer. It's called Gase Muniz Motorsports. So appears that's actually a real thing now.
I guess it would be. We got a little bit of money, might as well spend it on a race team, right?
Also, we'll touch on the entry list here in a minute, but I think the 53 is still listed as TBA. So I wonder if Frankie, it is listed as TBA. So potentially Frankie Muniz could be back in this race in the 53.
That would be fantastic for him. Again, we know that he's got himself pretty good little race cars when he's in there. So we'll have fun watching him through the course of the season. You can watch him too if you buy tickets, last minute tickets, even especially with Gametime. Look, I'm going to tell you right now that most of the time buying tickets is a horrendous experience because not only sometimes are you sitting there wondering if you can go to the event until the day before, sometimes the day of, and you're wondering if you can even get tickets in the first place. Now you're wondering if they're going to be real tickets or if somebody's going to try to sell you fake tickets. And now you're wondering if you can get them in time for the event. Well, you can stop wondering all of those things because Gametime takes all the stress out of buying tickets. Not only are you going to get that Gametime guarantee that when you buy them, they're going to be on time and they're going to be authentic, but you're also going to get lower fees, better prices, even on those very last minute tickets that you are sure to be able to buy. And it's all made for your phone. You can do it right from the ease of the palm of your hand. You get those tickets right there. No waiting for them in the mail. You can send them to your friends if you need to, if you want to buy a ticket for your friend or if your friend's a last minute ticket buyer too, whatever. But get all of that. Get into the venue, everything. Do it from your phone. So snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code SGPN for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code SGPN for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Underdog Fantasy has a way to play alongside your favorite fantasy players all season long. NBA, NHL, soccer, college basketball, NASCAR, F1. Simply pick higher or lower or better or worse on your favorite players' fantasy stats and cash in. Hang tight. Tomorrow, we're going to give you our entire slate of Underdog picks that we like for this Atlanta race. Plus, SGPN is teaming up with Underdog to give you even more of a bonus. Sign up between now and the end of the month. 5 winners are going to receive an Underdog hat, an Underdog shirt, and a $50 SGPN gift card. Sign up today using promo code RACE SGPN and then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/dog to enter the contest for your chance to win. So when you sign up with that promo code RACE SGPN, Underdog's going to double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code RACE SGPN. All right, let's get to the chat here real quick. Yes. We've got Walter checking in. What's up, guys?
What's up, Walter? Shout out to him. He says he believes in us, like Dale Jr. believes in Carson Kvapil, so that's good. Thank you. We appreciate that. Old-fashioned football. What's up? They had a big interview. Was that yesterday, I think, with the was it Breckenridge Distilling, which is the official distiller of the Denver Broncos. Big wigs out there. So I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. I will probably actually be doing that this evening. So make sure you check it out because I haven't heard a bad interview from them yet. They always have really good stuff.
Indeed. Walter also saying, Rod, I know you said yesterday we're going to Vegas next week. Going in October, what's the best place to sit? I don't know yet. I'm gonna figure
Rod
that
hasn't been yet.
But I will roam around the seats for you, Walter, as part of my pre-race, I guess, research. Checking out the venue. Yeah, research and figure that out for you. I know where I'll be sitting. I'm probably be sitting right there in pit road, trying to figure out what's going on around there because I I love me some pit road. I don't know what it is about
It's-
the excitement of it. It's
It's
beautiful.
Pit road is one of the better places to be. So
It really is.
Yeah,
Marching up
definitely.
and down pit road too, not just staying in one place, but
Yeah.
like going up and down all
getting
the
all the different angles and seeing all the different teams. It's a great time. I saw Walter posted. Finally got to cash in his had a ton of Ryan Blaney paper tickets. Finally got back to cash those in, and then made a nice purchase from the merch store. Got some NASCAR gambling stuff. So when that shows up, you'll have to send us some pictures, show it off for sure.
Hell yeah.
Rod, should we get to the entry list?
Well, hold on, because I want to go back to the news real quick. I think there's something that bodes well for you. You want to talk about baby bumps? Well, Corey LaJoy's spotter, TJ Bell, they had a baby during stage 1 at Daytona. So
yeah, I heard they played the audio on his podcast this week, and it was like, oh, hey, we had a healthy baby boy. And then they were joking about naming it Harley Earl for the trophy. And I guess the wife didn't go for that, but
I probably didn't like that very much. But yeah, let's get to the entry list.
Baby bump should have paid off last week, but that's all right. It's going to pay off this week. So
it's retroactive. You got the Corey LaJoy lift now. That's the thing.
Exactly. So, okay, entry list. Nothing too crazy here. I don't think we've got any full-time Cup Series guys racing down in this series. So JGR has their 2 rotating cars. They're actually staying the same this week. Ryan Truex back in the 19. John Hunter is back in the 20. The 26 Sam Hunt racing car is a rotator. Jeffrey Earnhardt is in that one. If you're newer to NASCAR these days, yes, that is Dale Earnhardt's grandson. So we'll be actually talking about him later on in the show. So we'll get a little more into that. Jordan Anderson's back in the 32. Like I said, the 53 car still listed as TBA on the most recent sheet that I've seen entry list. So I'd say there's probably a fairly high potential that will end up being Munez. Maybe they're waiting for that deal to finish, get the ink dry or whatever, but I would guess that he'll probably be in that one. And then JJ Yaley is going to be in this one, the 14, if that's notable at all. But otherwise, that's really it. Nothing else crazy. Kyle Busch, kind of the only Cup guy doing anything this week, being in the Truck Series. Otherwise, pretty much a lot of the regulars and then a few other notable ones.
Yeah, and obviously we talked about it too. We're Tuesday. We're kind of staying away from the Kyle Busch train, and that's all right. But yeah, for this one, it's just the normal Xfinity names. Nothing splashy on this one, but it is, of course, the 2024 Raptor King of Tough 250 from the Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton, Georgia. Drivers will be running 163 laps around this 1.540 mile paved track for 251 miles of craziness going on. We'll talk about the previous winners later on, but not nearly as many cautions in this race as there have been in the other ones that we've witnessed on super speedways. 8 for 50 last. Well, I guess that's a lot, man. 50 laps, 8 cautions for 50 laps. That's cleaning up a lot of mess.
That means there was big wrecks is what 50 caution laps means. It took them a long time to clean them up.
You know what? I'm going to take back my statement. 12 for 68.
Oh, geez, Rod. That's more than the Truck Series.
Yeah, 6 for 28 in the fall of 2022. And then 10 for 56. So we're spending a third of this race under caution. Never mind. I take that back.
So it's again, and that just shows you the super speedway angle. Same thing as with the Cup Series. The Truck Series earlier in the week, they'd only been here twice. Cup, though, has been here 4 times. Xfinity's been here 4 times, again, on this configuration. So just don't look at anything 2021 or earlier, because it means absolutely nothing when it comes to this new style of track. I mean, it's basically just a brand new track because of how it is.
Yeah. Last season, 26 cars actually finished the race. Only 25 of them finished on the lead lap. That was last spring on that one. So 26 out of 30, 38, 37. And then 28 out of 38 finished in the fall. So, I mean, again, this is still a war of attrition, regardless of whether or not this is a handling super speedway or not. So as we put our betting cards together, obviously, we're going to look at the folks that have done well here on this track in this configuration. And really we'll look back to last week too, as far as who ran well in Daytona, since we are going back to back. Cody, I think we talked about this already, but is this the first time that they've gone back-to-back in super speedway-esque type races? Yeah, this has got to be in a long time.
In recent memory, I can't think of a time off the top of my head where we've had back-to-back super speedways like COVID years and stuff. They did Daytona and then Daytona Road Course the next week, but obviously not both times on the big oval. But yeah, I can't think of a time where they did the back-to-back super speedways. And there's some theory to it that they, wanted to get the Netflix bump for the 500, kind of carry that same racing into the next week, sink the hooks in and get people, that because a lot of people like the action, and it is great racing, and you get the big spectacular wrecks and all that before they get to more of the cookie cutter track. So I think that's maybe why they did that. Obviously, this is traditionally in recent memory been Auto Club has been the second race, but that track no longer exists at this point, as it's being torn down. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing, right? And I think we're kind of seeing that a little bit on the entry lists, not having overblown entries, and it's a little tough for some of these teams to go back to back. But I'm enjoying it. I love super speedway racing. I love watching it. I love betting on it. I have been looking a little bit ahead to Vegas next week, though, and I'm pretty excited to bet on a more quote-unquote normal track.
And I'm going to be in the hotbed of betting, so I'm going to be right there in the thick of the action for it. So, fantastic stuff. You know what, though? And before we go to break, I want to float something by you because I know Netflix is starting to get in this live TV deal. They just got WWE now, and they're going to be putting Raw on Netflix. At what point are we now coming to a Netflix buying out of NASCAR? Maybe, who knows?
Well, they just signed the brand new TV deal, so I don't think we're getting.
No, that's true. You're right.
And Amazon's part of that, so you've got the streaming in there. But yeah, that new TV deal is 6-8 years. So
that's true.
It'll probably be a few minutes before Netflix gets into it.
Fine, Cody. Poo-poo my idea to have.
Sorry, Rod.
I don't care. Besides, it doesn't matter to me. I still want it on network TV. I can't stand when they go to these streaming services like Thursday Night Football. Take it off of Prime. No one cares.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about it in the offseason. I don't know. There's good and bad parts to it. You're hoping to reach some new people, making it tougher for people to find where it's at on a week-to-week basis. So, but next year, we're going to have to make that a point of emphasis next year of letting you know where things are at. Because, now it's like right now, it's Fox or FS1, right? And next year it's going to be Fox, FS1, CW, TNT, Amazon. We're in a few places. So we'll have to make sure next year we implement that as well.
Grab those rabbit ears, put the tape in the Betamax, and make sure you're ready to tape it whenever it comes on. We got picks to give you. We will definitely set you up for these Raptor picks. But let me tell you first about Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NBA season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for player props, parlays, and game lines. Research every NBA and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bet's revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rates for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. All right, Cody. Well, it is that time to start laying out our favorite picks for this Raptor King of Tough 250. Hold on, Justin saying wrestling on Netflix. Can I watch all the episodes? No, I don't know. It's so they're doing Monday Night Raw starting in 2025, I think it is. So that's what's happening there. Matt Miles saying if they can do what Apple TV does to baseball and sync the MRN radio feed. Ooh, that's a good one.
MRN, their calls are. I don't listen to MRN as much as I should because it's beautiful.
It is. I love how seamless all of the going from one corner to the next and what. Yeah, it's just.
They're so freaking good at it. It's wonderful. Ash, our friend from England, checking in.
Ash?
He says Ryan Truex for top 5. Ryan Truex might be coming up on the show. Also wondering if any sportsbooks are offering top 10s for Xfinity. Something we've been begging for a while. I think we got like one peek at him at one point. It'll be interesting.
Wasn't it last year, the last race of last season?
I don't think it was the last race. I think it was Vegas in the fall, wasn't it? So that's what I'm going to be interested next week to see, because I think Vegas puts more of an emphasis on it when it's in town and we kind of get a little bit more options. So it'll be interesting to see if we kind of get those options. But yeah, I think we had them for like one race and then they disappeared. Top 10s and honestly, I think the books are nervous if they put top 10s for Xfinity and trucks out there they're going to get just railroaded, because I think we could. I mean, I really think if we had top 10 options, it would give us so many more options to get on. And I think it's easier. Obviously, it's easier to hit a top 10 than a top 5. But I mean, I think in a general sense, on a week-to-week basis, it's a lot harder for longer shots to crack the top 5, not as hard for them to crack the top 10, which obviously sounds obvious. Again, I get that, but it makes sense in my mind. So we're going to go with
sometimes the obvious thing, I know we always tend to write off the obvious, but if it's
right.
obvious,
it is obvious, and that's why.
I know the internet loves spicy takes. I know that they love somebody to sit there and thump the podium. But look, if you're wrong 1,000 times out of 1,001, why would I want to listen to you the 1,000 times when you're right that one? And then you can stand on your podium and say, see, I had it. And I was like, yeah, but the 1,000 times before you didn't. So I can make 1,001 calls and get at least one right. So yeah.
There you go.
Sometimes the obvious is the obvious, but not obvious, Cody, is who we have for this race. Who do we got for this race?
Well, this one might be obvious because it cashed for us last week. So why wouldn't we run it back, right? I talked about this in the truck race a little bit. I promise not all my picks are the same, but certain ones, we hit on them last week. Why wouldn't we do it again, right? So Jordan Anderson cashed the top 5 for us last week at Daytona. Let's run it back. Jordan Anderson, again, he is 6-1 over on Caesars for a top 5 finish. You look back at what he's done. He hasn't raced here on the new track, so we don't have any info there. But you look at his Daytona finishes. He had a 15th and a 22nd going into last week, just getting to the end, surviving things. Finishes 4th place last week. Had one start at Talladega is what I was trying to get out there, and finished 5th in that one. You go back to the truck races. Daytona, he had 2 second-place finishes there, 2 top 7s at Talladega. So he has consistently been good on the super speedways. We saw it last week, right? You didn't see him. You didn't hear from him the entire race. Hanging out back, doing his thing. But at the end of the race, he finds his way to the front, and he shows up there. So I don't know. Is Larry Mack going to be on the – do they list crew chiefs? Oh, they do list crew chiefs on the entry list. He's in the 32. TBA. Ooh, maybe it will be Larry Mack because Larry Mack was not able to be on the box last week. But always fun to see Larry Mack when he gets on the box. But regardless, Jordan Anderson, top 5, 6-1. Hit for us last week. We're running it back, trying it again this week.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we ain't trying to fix this at all. And how much fun is it to cheer for a 6-1 top 5? So I'm with you on that one. Cody, I think the folks out there need to check and make sure that I'm okay. I want them to do a welfare check on me.
God.
Because
I had not looked at this bet before. Wow, I'm shocked.
Somebody tell me to blink twice if I'm being coerced into this, because you're going to hear me say something I have not said in a very long time. I'm going to fade Justin Allgaier on this track. I am going to take my only head-to-head that I've taken in the last, 2 weeks, really, and I'm going to take John Hunter Nemechek over Justin Allgaier. I understand you guys all know my love for Justin and just JRM as a whole. But let me tell you something. It is very hard to get behind JA on this track in particular, when all 4 times out of the 4 times rather that he's taken this in this configuration, twice he has crashed out. He has finishes of 34th, 29th, and 17th. His one great finish in all of that was a 7th place finish in the fall of 2022, where he started in 7th and finished in 7th. Now, when you look at John Hunter Nemechek in that very same configuration, last season, he only did it once. He didn't do it in 2022 when they first did it, but in the first iteration of this, he finished 8th in the spring, right behind John Hunter Nemechek, or right behind Justin Allgaier rather, and then ended up winning in that fall race. So he's got 2 top 10 finishes. He's won 1 on this configuration already. It pains me to say it, but when you can't finish this race even 2 out of 4 times, even half of the time, and then the one time that you did and you finished 7th, you finished 1 position above the guy that you're going up against, it still tells me that this guy's got it figured out for you as well. On Daytona in general, Justin Allgaier has an average finish of 15.3 turnaround for what John Hunter does, and that's 17th. So Allgaier's got him on Daytona, has him slightly at Talladega too, where Justin Allgaier. This John and Justin thing's kind of kicking my ass, but where John Hunter has a 16.8 finishing average at Talladega, and then Justin Allgaier has a 16.4 average, so it's just a little bit above. But still, all things considered, this track is not one of Justin Allgaier's favorites. I don't see him finishing well again. I mean, maybe even if he finishes in the 20, I still think John Hunter's going to have a top 10 car, if not a better car than that. So, yeah, give me John Hunter Nemechek over Justin Allgaier. This is a -115.
Nick Fortune, late to the party. Rod, are you okay? He is definitely checking in on you. I'm also wondering if Rod is okay. Corporate gambling maybe has him captured over there. I don't know what's going on. Fading. You know he believes in it. Again, that's the thing with some of these. You know you really believe in it if you're taking against the guy that you're normally always on. So also Nick Fortune dropping the wrestling knowledge. J Mark, you can watch the classic wrestling matches on Peacock.
I've done that.
So yes, and old fashioned football. Not happy that you're going against Justin's, obviously. Justin, I'm guessing, the one checking in over there. So way to go, fading the Justins, but must be done this week, I suppose. You're not going to get an argument from me. You know how much I love John Hunter and those JGR boys. So speaking of JGR boys, I'm going to jump over to the top Toyota range. Look, there's only 5 Toyotas in this race this week, which is not very many. This is a group. It really is this week. It's just a group. So I'm going to take this 2 different ways and jump in on it. So we're going to take Chandler Smith to be the top finishing Toyota at +290. He's going to be the lower odds guy. I'm going to take Jeffrey Earnhardt to be the top finishing Toyota at 12-1. Anytime you're getting anyone in a group on a super speedway at a much higher number than everyone else, and it's 12-1, I mean, you know, Truex is the lowest odds besides him, and it's +360. And then it jumps all the way down to Earnhardt at 12-1. Look, he's only got to beat 4 other guys. You're taking Chandler Smith as well. So now you've only got to get these 2 Toyotas. One of them has to beat 3 other guys is it. That is the way to attack this type of bet, in my opinion. And, you know, again, these super speedways, anything can happen. One crash could literally wipe out the other 3 Toyotas. And then this could be cashed 3 laps into the race. That's how early we saw him wrecking last week, right? So it doesn't take long for a bet like this to hit. When it comes to Chandler Smith, very impressed with him last week. He had a 5th place finish last week at Daytona, of course, in his first run in the JGR equipment. 2 starts here at Atlanta, 20th and 28th, so haven't been overly impressive. But again, you don't have to be overly impressive necessarily to cash this bet either. He did have a 12th last year in the spring Daytona race. He was 4th at Daytona in a Truck Series race last year. So he's had some pretty, and also he's got a Cup Series start. Or I'm sorry, he was 4th last year in the truck race at Atlanta, and he's got an 11th place finish in 1 Cup start on a super speedway at Talladega as well. So good at getting to the end, good at surviving things. And it impressed me last week a lot. Chandler Smith did in his first ride over in the Toyota camp. So taking him +290. And then for Jeffrey Earnhardt, again, I mean, really the biggest argument to Jeffrey Earnhardt is the number. And you're getting a great number on it. And let's also note that he is in a Sam Hunt car, not an Alpha Prime car or something that's much worse. And you've been able to tell the difference in those starts because he's got 4 starts here in 2 of them in Alpha Prime equipment, 23rd and 4th. And one of those was mechanical issue, which you have to worry about sometimes with those types of cars. But he has 2 starts here in Sam Hunt equipment, 13th and 19th. 13th and 19th can easily cash this bet for you if some of these other Toyotas get caught up in a wreck, if some of them have issues, whatever the case may be. He's been up and down throughout his super speedway career. He's got that Earnhardt blood in him, right? Dale Earnhardt's grandson, Dale Jr.'s nephew, as we know. He does have a 2nd place finish at Talladega before an Xfinity car. So again, the numbers just say you've got to take a guy at this big of a number. So 12-1 to basically win a group of 5. And then you're also getting in on Chandler Smith. He's got the 3rd highest odds. Of course, John Hunter, Sheldon Creed, Ryan Truex are the other 3 Toyotas entered into this one. So give me the Chandler Smith +290, Jeffrey Earnhardt 12-1 to be the top finishing Toyota.
Chandler Smith has got to break through, don't you think? I mean, he did show out so well last year.
He's going to have wait till we get to Las Vegas next week, Rod.
I mean, again, he's got to bide his time. He's got to figure out how to get past these first 2 races. I think, yeah,
he started off good last week, right?
Yeah.
He fifth place. So off to a good start. And yeah, wait till we get to the normal tracks for Chandler. It's gonna be a big season for the 2024 Xfinity Series champion.
Well, speaking of off to a good start, you can't get off to even a much better start than Jesse Love did last week when he put his number 2 on the pole at Daytona. Now, unfortunately, he got Daytona'd, and he pretty much figured out that racing in the Xfinity Series is it's a big boy sport, and he needed to hang on a little bit more, I think, to have a better day there. But listen, he still finished 20th despite having a rough go of it, especially in the middle there. He led 34 laps. Not a bad first showing for Jesse Love in this 2 car. So, you know what? I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and think that he's going to stay out of trouble. He learned something last week. He learned that you have to play nice, and he also learned that people won't play nice around you. So you've got to figure out how to balance that act. But I'm going to give him a top 5 finish at plus 225. He's got no real track stats to speak of. Obviously, the kid's a young guy. I think he just barely went to his 8th grade dance. So I think I love you, Jesse. I'm going to have a beer with you when you're legal. Don't worry about it. We're only joking because I'm like 3 times your age at this point. But anyways, I think he learned, like I said, I think he learned a lot of something last week about pack racing, about racing in Xfinity in general, because again, this is his first Xfinity. I was his first Xfinity start. And he had a fantastically fast car. This 2 car with Sheldon Creed wasn't really the greatest at the Atlanta reconfigured Speedway, so I won't even bring his stats into it. But then again, we know that Sheldon Creed didn't have the luck with him in that car for whatever reason. So like I said, for me, this isn't more about what he's done in the past. Obviously, in this track, I feel like it's his potential to learn from what he learned last week. And if he's got a fast car, he's got a fast car. I know sometimes that doesn't matter on super speedways and you don't have to, but sometimes speed can get you where you need to go. The discipline and the patience to be able to stay out of trouble will get you further. But if you got a fast car already, then you're ahead of the game. And Jesse Love's got that fast car. So give me a top 5 for him at plus 225.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue. Those RCR cars obviously have some type of advantage on the super speedways. Look at what Austin Hill did last week, multiple times racing to the front. I talked about both the Cup cars over in the Cup Series for RCR. I actually picked both of them to be winners this week. I think that they're going to be solid there as well. So hard to argue too much against it. The youth, the inexperience still concerns me a little bit. We saw that last week. And again, not any fault of his own. He just got caught up in it. But surprisingly, he was still fast, even after not having a front end on the car, which was a little bit shocking. So speaking of young drivers, you see that 9-year-old that was racing a dirt late model the other night?
No.
Holy, dude, that's insane. It's crazy how young some of these kids are racing.
I saw Kevin Harvick's daughter on I Am Harvick on that thing where she's like, I tried to move him because he bumped me. I was like,
dude, that was the best part of that whole show. Like, that was just, and Kevin's like, oh, well, okay.
Kevin's like, well, that's Rubbin's
Elena
racing.
Was loving it too, so it was great. But catch up on the chat real quick. Walter, really lucky last week with the head-to-heads in all 3 series, rolling that way again. I know our guy Ty Tiger has found 7 head-to-heads against Kyle Larson. So maybe he should actually bet Kyle Larson to win just in case. Nick Fortune has money on Caesar's book now for NASCAR picks. Hasn't used them in years. We don't have a book affiliation at the moment, but they're consistently have the most options and some pretty good lines over on Caesar's. So wants to know if we're car lifting Jordan Anderson. You can. I don't hate it. Obviously, I talked about him in the top 5. I have a different car lift for you in a little bit, though. And then old-fashioned football likes the interesting angle, treating Toyota like a group, since there's only 5 of them. And really, that's the best way to look at it, especially when you get those long shot numbers. That's what I like. All right, Rod, next up, we're going back to Mr. Riley Herbst, our guy, top 5, plus 290. Got real freaking close to this last week, right? He ends up coming home 6th place and being real close. But you go back to him, you look what he's done previously. He had a 6th place last year at Daytona, followed up with a 6th place this year. He was 5th place at Atlanta last year. And again, just strong cases on super speedways. 2022, he had a 4th at Daytona, Talladega, a 4th and a 7th there. He was at another 4th place in 2020. So it just continues to get good, solid runs for Riley Herbst on super speedways. again, we just saw it last week. Looked good. He looked fast. So I think we're going to roll with him again. Plus 290 for a top 5. I feel like too big of a number for a guy who just finished in 6th place last week. Has a strong car. Continues to be strong on these super speedways. We've seen him do well in the Cup Series on the super speedways even. So Riley Herbst, top 5, plus 290.
Yeah, you know what? The only thing that makes me kind of sad about Riley Herbst sometimes is that when we back him, like that's the times when he doesn't necessarily do good, and then when we finally come
last year, hey, we were in on him,
but then he sort of
he faded midsummer, but
yeah,
we were cashing top 5s on him. I think like 5 or 6 weeks in a row early in the season before he went on that cold spell, and we were hitting on him again late in the season. So I think I'm feeling good about making some money on Riley this week.
I suppose if we throw enough darts at him, we'll get there. Old fashioned Justin wants to know, have you guys ever done a ride with a NASCAR driver thing? No. And in fact, what I want to do for my birthday one of these years, maybe for my 50th, I want to do the driving experience where you get to go on a track.
Where you get to drive. That's the one you want to do, is the one where you get to drive. I have not. I've done the ride along thing on dirt tracks, which is pretty cool and pretty fun, but I've never done one on a cup track yet. That's definitely on the list, and Kansas Speedway does them every once in a while too. So definitely need to do that.
Definite bucket list item for me as well. Oh, all right. Well, I've shucked off my captors, and now I'm back on the JRM train. So I'm going to take Sam Mayer. I'm going to take Sam Mayer as a top 5 car at plus 140. I've thrown away the shackles that were keeping me away from Justin Allgaier, but Sam Mayer, a different story on this track, actually, in general. The last 2 times that he's been on this track. Now, the first couple times were kind of rough on him. He got a 21st and a 34th finished in 2022 after the repave, but last year figured something out, and not just on this track, but in general, just figured something out, right? Sam Mayer winning races last season, in the mix for the championship. Something clicked with Sam Mayer in that one car, and I think that's going to continue to happen again for Sam Mayer. So yeah, give me Sam Mayer as a top 5 car at what do I got it at right here? I got it at plus 140. Again, these numbers aren't necessarily all that super sexy. I get it, but like I said, for him to finish 5th last year after starting 5th, that's encouraging. A 9th place finish after starting 10th means he was able to keep his car out of trouble. It means he was able to keep his car pointed forward, which is one of the more important things about it. And he didn't lose a position, right? He basically just gained 1 position altogether. We did not get to see much of Mayer, obviously, at Daytona earlier this year. And in fact, we don't get to see much of him at Daytona at all, to be honest with you. Unfortunately, his average finish is 26.3 at Daytona. So not necessarily the greatest of super speedway racers, but he does have a runner-up at Talladega. He did finish 2nd at Talladega in 2022. So it's not as if the car can't get there. But I certainly think that Sam Mayer, as the pilot of it, is pretty worthy enough to put some money on as a top 5 car. Again, like I said, his teammate, not so much, but Sam Mayer seems to be able to run this track a little bit better than his buddy in that 7 car. So yeah, give me Justin Allgaier, top 5 car, or I'm sorry. Ooh, look at me. Sam Mayer, top 5 car, plus 140.
Oh, boy. Here. Way to go. Rod likes the smaller odds top 5. I like the bigger odds top 5s. Shout out to our guy Myron. He's got a flyer on Jeffrey Earnhardt to win 150-1, driving the Sam Hunt car, worth the shot. And Ash actually checking in with Earnhardt's 200-1 over on Caesars and Bet 365. Earnhardt is also 14-1 for a top 5 finish. I'm getting in on him to be the top finishing Toyota. I like the top 5 number, 14-1. Again, long shot, so we're probably going to need a little bit of chaos. But, Rod, he started twice here in the Sam Hunt cars. He's got a 13th place finish and a 19th place finish, running at the end of the races, surviving some of the chaos, having a chance to be there. If you can be in 13th, Rod, what did we see in all 3 series last week? If you can be in 13th, you can be in 5th in the snap of a fingers. We saw that big-ass wreck at the end of the race last week. I mean, Ryan Sieg was 4th. And gets turned, and it gets a bunch of cars wrecked, and you got guys that were 20th finishing in 4th and 5th place in that race because they survived the chaos and made it to the end. So love Jeffrey Earnhardt for a top 5 finish, 14-1. Again, solid finishes here. He's got a 2nd place at a second place at Talladega. Why am I struggling with Talladega today? Second place at Talladega, so we know he's gotten in the top 5 before. And again, got that Earnhardt blood in him. We know what that means on super speedways, so I'm going to lean into that a little bit as well. So really like a Jeffrey Earnhardt this week. I think he's one of these guys that's longer odds, but has the potential to score us some money and get some decent finishes.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. If you can dodge the cars in front of you, you can get into the top 10.
Exactly. Stay tuned, Walter. Definitely going to need a graphic recap at the end of the screen today. Don't worry, Rod's actually on top of it today, so might or might not be a graphic at the end of the show.
I don't even have to do it as we type. I literally. So the great part about it is that for those of you who don't necessarily know, I live a freelance style life in which I do things sort of on my own schedule. But this morning I was grateful enough to be able to have about 2 or 3 hours in the morning that I could knock out a bunch of work before I had to go to my job that requires me to be there for a little while. And then, of course, come back and do this. So there's definitely a graphic for you today. And there was some help, too, outside help. And we'll give that shout out once we get there as well. All right, moving right along with our picks. We talked about it earlier. Who was it in the chat that gave us the
Oh, yeah.
Man, it's too much to scroll through. Somebody in
I'll
there.
I'll find it.
Okay,
Ash did bring it up. Ryan
There it
Truex,
is.
top 5. Somebody else had said it too.
Well, Ash, I'm going to tell you right now, that was in my betting card already there. Ryan Truex, but not a top 5. I'm going top 3 for Ryan Truex. That number is at 5-1. I absolutely love this number. Why? Well, Ash and everybody else out there, Ryan Truex last season in both Atlanta races came in 3rd. In both. Not only that, but he led 8 laps in that 2022 race. I'm sorry. No, it's not 2022. 2022, he finished 3rd. 2023, he finished 3rd. So in last year's Raptor, he finished 3rd. And then in the fall race of 2022, hold on. My eyes are, I need to update my prescription. So apologies, guys. I'm looking at a screen.
Rod's getting pretty old. So we'll have to take Grandpa in for new glasses here.
I'd say, what's that, Sonny? I'm sorry. Ryan Truex, 2022 in the fall finished 3rd. 2023 in the spring finished 3rd. There's a pattern there. I like that pattern.
I would ask you if you're sure you're looking at Ryan Truex's numbers, but I know Martin Truex hasn't finished that good on a super speedway. So.
Hold on, let's see.
It's definitely Ryan.
That's Ryan. All right. I can get that close for it. No, Ryan Truex, 2 third-place finishes in the last couple of races for him. And he did it. Look, he did it in the 18 and the 19. So again, he's not necessarily tied to one specific car. Obviously, they're both Gibbs cars, but two different cars essentially driving it to a 3rd place finish. So like I said, I really like that. Last week kind of got the raw end of the deal, right? He was running somewhere around the front in spurts and spots, but not necessarily a contender at Daytona. But again, he's not really a contender at Daytona or Talladega anyways either, which, 16.8 is his average finish at Daytona. 22 is his average finish at Talladega. It's not really, sometimes when you know a track, right? And if you can get to 3rd place 2 years in a row with 2 different cars, I think a 3rd is well within his realm of possibility. And again, 5-1 for a guy who's done it the last 2 times he's been on the track. Yes, please. Especially when you got guys like Sam Mayer who haven't done it at plus 140, Jesse Love at plus 225. I think Truex top 3 might be my favorite bet out there at 5-1.
Yeah, I like it. Again, he's already 2 for 2 doing it, so hard to argue with that. And you're getting a good number at 5-1, not the measly 140 for Sam Mayer over there. So not that I don't like that one. I was just kidding. But Truex, I do like getting up there at a good number. Next up for me, this is my car lift. Nick was asking about the car lift earlier. I got the car lift running it back this week again. I hate to have done this, Rod, but all 3 of my car lifts are the same as they were last week. But that's because they paid off in 2 of the series, and they should have paid off in the Xfinity Series as well. Ryan Sieg was 4th place on the last lap on the backstretch before he got turned into the wall, and unfortunately did not cash any of these tickets for us, which was definitely very unfortunate. But going back on him, you saw it last week, right? Comes out just the slowest fucking car in the field in single car qualifying. I doubled down on it in the Discord. I said, doesn't matter. You're going to see him lead laps. You're going to see him up front. Rod, he led laps. He was up front. he was mixing it up there at the end for a long time in the mix, had a chance late. Of course, we were doing the recap show live, sweating that one out and watching him destroy our tickets, unfortunately. But he was there, and then the finish doesn't look good, so the books gave us the good numbers again. So riding the Ryan Sieg car lift, top 3, 12-1, top 5, 6-1, 60-1 to win over on Superbook. There's no, for some reason, Toyota's the only one they're offering for the top manufacturer. I've not seen top Ford or Chevy anywhere. But if we can get top Ford and Ryan Sieg, I also like it most likely, as long as you're getting a decent number, not a ton of Fords in the field. And I think that he'll be a strong Ford as well. Obviously, I think he's going to do the rest of these. So you go back and you look, what has he done at Atlanta in the fall here? Not good. 37th. He got taken out earlier on in the race, but he did finish third place. Actually, it wasn't even early. It was later in the race. He started back in 23rd, but he finished third place in stage 2, and he led 15 laps late and then got caught up in a wreck. That was the race where I think all the cautions were just late in the race. And so, obviously, 37th, which is, does Xfinity allow 30? They do allow 38. I was going to say. I was thinking it was 36. Like, God, how did he finish 37th? But no. So, again, led 15 laps in this race. He was in the mix to win it late. Gets caught up in the wreck. That's going to happen. But his other 3 starts, he's got a 10th, a 15th, and 11th place. So, again, there at the end, has good runnings. And even in the spring race last year, 8th and 6th in the stages. So he wasn't even holding back. He was, up there throughout the day, running good, making good, solid laps, doing great things. And again, we saw it last week, 4th place on the last lap until he gets caught up in the wreck. And then, of course, the result not indicative of how the race went, of how things were going, even on the last lap. So love Ryan Sieg riding that car lift, top 3, 12-1, top 5, 6-1, 60-1 to win. And then if you can find the top Ford, I would probably jump on that as well. Again, if I see a number, Discord, that's a great place to be. We'll add that later. But yeah, I've not seen top Ford bets anywhere. I don't know why. Toyota's the only one being offered at the moment. But like the Sieg car lift all the way, it really should have cashed for us last week. I mean, it should have. He even had a chance to win the race. Still getting great numbers because the result looked so bad on paper last week, not indicative of the run. So running it back with the Ryan Sieg car lift. If you're still new to the program, I promise I'll have different picks next week. But, hey, we cashed some tickets last week. We're going to do it again this week. And certain guys getting good numbers, gotta run it back with them.
All I'm saying is if you want to listen to us, just listen to the same episode every day and you'll – no, I'm just kidding. Honestly, listen.
Honestly, Ryan Sieg, probably not a guy we'll talk about until we get to the Super Speedway again, which is many weeks down the road. So enjoy listening to his name this week. Yeah. And also, just to clarify, Ryan Sieg, not Kyle. Kyle was also in this race. He didn't make the Daytona race because he didn't make qualifying. Everybody will make this one. So Kyle will be in the race. I'm not in on Kyle. I'm in on Ryan. So just to make sure that's clear.
Yeah, definitely don't just blindly click Sieg because you have to know what you're getting into. Speaking of a name we haven't really talked about very much, and that's Parker Retzlaff. Like that name has not necessarily come up all that often in our conversations, and not for a lack of awesome glasses. I love me some Parker Retzlaff for sure. And he's actually got a Jordan Anderson owner, right? So him and Jordan Anderson riding in basically the same equipment. So we're talking about Jordan Anderson being good. Hey, guess what? Parker Retzlaff actually finished in 3rd place at Daytona last week. One of his better super speedway finishes ever. And I think probably one of his better finishes ever, really, for Parker Retzlaff. So he enjoyed a hell of a day. And I will say that in the Atlanta Motor Speedway, he's 16 and 27 are his finishes. So Parker Retzlaff, I'm going to get him to win Group C. Now, let me read you off Group C, and you're going to tell me exactly why I'm doing this, and you're going to know really why I'm doing this real quick. Group C consists of Josh Williams, his teammate, okay, Jeb Burton, and Shane Van Gisbergen. But let me tell you, SVG is the favorite to win this group at plus 210.
Well, Rod, didn't you see Jesus had a good run last week? So it means he's going to do it always.
Last week, like the dude
he did okay. Actually, he did well. He was in 14 wrecks, but he still finished like 12th because of that big wreck on the last lap.
Yeah, I'm still not sold on that. But guess what? Parker Retzlaff finished in 3rd, so I think he has the opportunity to do something like that again. But Josh Williams on this track in particular, He's or actually not his teammate Josh Williams. I'll talk about Jordan Anderson. Now you're getting me Talladega. God. Yeah. Anyways, Jordan Anderson, Josh Williams, not the same people, but Josh Williams on this track in particular, he did finish 9th, right, in the fall of last year, which is not a bad finish. But outside of that, 32, 25, 22, 18, 16, 28, 21, 24. This one may even have you watching the back of the pack, and that's all right. Jeb Burton on this track, he's got 7 starts. He does have 1 top 5, but that was back in 2021, so it doesn't count. Since the repave, 15, 13, 16, 13. Jeb Burton may give you a little bit of a sweat there, but that's really the only other guy that I think would be a little bit on the over Parker Retzlaff. But if Parker Retzlaff at plus 310 is the plus 330 rather is the favorite or is the underdog of this group, give me the underdog. I'll take the 31 car and I'll cheer all the way to the bank when he wins this group. So yeah, give me Parker Retzlaff to win over Josh Williams. That's not an edit. I did say Josh Williams, Jeb Burton, and the Lord Jesus Christ SVG.
Parker Retzlaff, a.k.a. Chicken Little, according to Myron. Another iRacing guy, right? He's the one that got the start in the iRacing, much like our Daytona 500 champion and William Byron. So also DJ asking any thoughts on Custer. Custer did finish 3rd here in the summer last year in the race, 12th in the spring. He's 10-1 to win. Didn't make either of our, I had to double check and make sure he didn't make Rod's card, but he did not. Didn't make either of our cards to win. I like his teammate Herbst a little more just because the numbers are better. The top 3 at 3-1 is sort of enticing, but I don't know. I'm not quite ready to pull the trigger on it. His numbers are just too low. He's probably a guy we'll maybe bring up next week when it comes to Las Vegas. He ended up towards the end of the season really starting to look good on those types of tracks. So I would guess we'll talk about him a little more next week, but I got nothing on Custer. Is there anything you're seeing out on Custer that you like, Rod?
I think what maybe is getting people excited about it is that he did have that 3rd place finish, but he had 12th place finish the year before that. He didn't even race the first year that this was repaved because he was up in the Cup Series.
Yeah.
So, I mean, has he gotten something figured out? Yeah, but early season Custer, not somebody I want in on right now.
I don't remember. Where did he finish last week, too? I don't think he was. I don't even remember. But
last week he finished in. I got to keep scrolling, don't I? He finished in 13th.
Yeah. So yeah, it was okay. Again, there was that wreck at the end that skewed some of that a little bit, but yeah, just kind of not in on him this week for the most part. All right, Rod, Wars jumping back into it. Riley Herbst 16-1. I talked about him earlier. 5th place, a 9th place, a 4th place in 3 of the starts here. Last week or last year rather in the summer, finished 36, but similar to Ryan Sieg, he led 3 laps. He won stage 1 actually. And then that late crash that Sieg was in, he was also in, ends up in 36, but 5th, 9th, and 4th in the other 3 starts. 6th place last week. And Rod, if you remember, and I forgot to mention this earlier, 6th place, and that was before the start of overtime, being penalized and put all the way in the back on the restart. He was on the front row on the last restart prior to that green-white checkered restart at the end. So, yeah, and yeah, DJ saying, thanks, Herbst, it is. Yeah, I'm a lot more in on Herbst than Custer, mostly because of the numbers, right? He's 16-1 instead of 10-1. If it was flipped and Custer was a 16-1, I probably would be a little more into him, but Herbst actually is the better guy on the super speedways in a general sense. So, yeah, love Herbst 16-1 to win. Brandon Jones back in on him again, Rod, 30-1 over on Superbook. Another guy in the mix at the end last week, ends up finishing in 9th, but he was up there mixing it up, battling for the win late in that one, and has just been such a strong super speedway guy continuously and very close to winning one of these. I think 30-1, that's a JRM car also. So, you know, of the 3 super speedways that we have, right, this is the one where you're going to say the bigger team cars probably have the best advantage. You're getting a JRM guy at 30-1, and of the JRM stable, arguably maybe the better of them at super speedways, but in a general sense, he's not the best one, so his number gets slipped a little bit. So love him there. And Jordan Anderson's 80-1 over on Superbook. Going to add him as well. Again, I think for a Jordan Anderson to win this one, and maybe even to get that top 5 we talked about earlier at the bigger number, you're going to need a good amount of chaos. but what'd you say? 8 cautions for 50 laps last race. So a little bit of chaos may come into factor here. And we saw it last week. There was chaos in all 3 races. I think there's going to be chaos again this weekend at Atlanta. So I like the sprinkle on Jordan Anderson as well. Also, Walter did ask about all plays 1 unit. Does it vary depending on the type of bet you're making? We're not fans of telling you, how to spend your money. We'll tell you where we, think you should put it, and you don't have to play all of our plays. We're not playing every single play that both of us is giving out there. These are just our favorite plays on the board. You take them. You decide what's best for you. Everybody's unit size is different. You can break them up differently. So yeah, we pretty much leave that in your hands. We're just here to help you dig through the data, dig through the picks, where the good value is, and then you can make the decisions on how you want to spend it.
I'm clipping out that everybody's unit is different. And listen, just to piggyback on
Some
what
are big, some are small.
I know. I here to unit shame you, but
It's
that's
not the size of your unit; it's how you use it, Rod.
It's exactly how you use it. And listen, honestly, you can get berated and you can get people inflating their numbers all over the place. We're not here for that. We just literally want to give you the information. We want to give you the plays. And just because we may not play every single one of them ourselves, I don't think takes away at all from the fact and the information that we're giving you. Because again, you don't sit in a college class and ask the teacher how much they're going out to do what they're doing and what they're teaching, right? Because that's not the purpose of being taught. And that is what we're doing here for you. Now, granted, tickets cash, tickets don't cash, but that's the way the whole business is. And I don't tell anybody else how to run their shows either. They can thump their chest and do all that great stuff and tell you that I'm putting 15 units down on this, or I'm only putting a half a unit on this. And that's fine.
And if that's your thing, good for that's your style. That's how you want to do it. Great. That's there's people out there that do that, and that's their way. This is our way. Everybody's got their own way. We think it works pretty good, and we've seen it be successful. So it's just how we do it.
Yep. And we love you guys for coming along with the ride, regardless of whether or not we tell you where to put your unit. I'm going to go straight into my winners now. And
that being said, 10 unit max plays on all these guys now.
All these plays, hammer down on all of these. We haven't brought his name up at all. And I think we're scared because the numbers are so low and we can't necessarily in good conscience tell you to throw 300 units on Austin Hill. But I think you'd be a little irresponsible if we did not bring his name up, because obviously it's going to be the name on everybody's lips. He's at plus 320 to win this race. I'm telling you right now, if you don't have him and he wins like he did last week, you're going to be pissed. So whatever it is you feel like you want to put on it, no, listen, there's a lot of people that knew that Austin Hill was going to win and they didn't do it because of the number. And it didn't happen. But here's the thing about Austin Hill at Atlanta. He's won 2 of the last 3 races on this track. He was second the first year that this thing was paved. 12th last year, which is exactly the commercial for you to not throw all of your money out there, because he still can finish 12th.
Second, you said second and 12th?
Second and 12th were the only 2 outside of. That's the parameter, right? But 2 wins in that span. 2 wins in that 2 out of 4. He's won 2 out of 4 of the races he's been on, which just so happened to be the ones that reconfigured. Daytona, he's got 3 wins at Daytona. Talladega seems to be the one that just pisses him off. He's had 2 poles at Talladega and ended up crashing out of 2 races and finishing 14th and 18th. So it's a frustrating super speedway world for him, but plus 320, we've said it before. It's not a good number for NASCAR, but any other sport you're throwing plus 320 out, you're telling me that it's a pretty good value. I know, Cody. I know, but I'm telling you right now, if it hits and you actually did put something on it, you're going to be happy. If it doesn't hit, it's just the same as everything else. It's a super speedway bet, right? It's the same as betting Riley Herbst as a top 5 car at plus 290. It's that to me. It's the same type of thing.
Riley Herbst can finish in the top 5. He doesn't have to win the race.
Austin Hill can win the race. Like that's if we're gonna cut down that. So yeah, Austin Hill, not going to give much more of analysis out of that. Just if you feel the need to do it, I'm here to tell you it's okay. And then AJ Allmendinger is my longer shot here at plus 950. Listen, now that he's got back to his full-time status in Xfinity, we're kind of, his mind is right again. we saw the stress that being in the Cup Series took out of him. Sometimes, guys, your priority is not necessarily where you are at that time, and that's okay. You don't necessarily always need to be at the highest level possible to feel comfortable with yourself. So he's a damn good driver. He does have a win on this track. Obviously, it was before the repave, but he did finish third here in the spring in last year's race in that same 16 car. We saw him finished in a top 10 finished 10th last week at Daytona after starting in third place. He did lead 3 laps. So Cody said it before, AJ Allmendinger, a sneaky good super speedway racer. Everybody pays attention to his road racing abilities, but he is a pretty good super speedway racer as well. So I like that. And then give me Ryan Truex at 18-1 to win this race. Talked about it. He finished third in both of the races that he was in on this one. So listen, or the last 2 races rather, both of the ones that he's been on in this configuration. Third place can very easily turn into first place if the top 2 cars decide they want to get a little bit squirrely on that last lap, and Ryan Truex is holding back a little bit. First 2 cars spit each other out. Ryan Truex squirts through, finishes for the win at 18-1. So yeah, I mean, again, it's going to take a little bit of luck. I don't think he's going to get there on his own, but he may. Who knows? That's the thing about Ryan Truex. You just never really know.
Yeah, love the Truex pick. Love the Allmendinger pick. Man, you just can't talk me into a plus 320 for an outright on a super speedway. But hey, if it's your thing, it's your thing. I mean, there's no doubt he's going to be fast. He's going to look good. He can go to the back 7 times. He'll find his way to the front. Got caught up in a wreck last week. I know he survived and made it there, but man, I don't know. I can't do it personally, but best of luck to you, Rod. I would like to say, though, if he does win, I will not be sad that I don't have an outright on him. I don't think it's worth it.
And that's okay. Remember, this is the series
Rod and I
disagree the most.
Part of our contract, actually, is we have to disagree in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, we do, because I have an unhealthy love for junior motorsports, and Cody does.
And I have an unhealthy love for JGR, and that's not what we're disagreeing about this time. So there we go.
Oh, we're RCR. We're disagreeing about RCR. Look at that. Well, and if I think his teammate's going to be a top 5, then I very easily could see.
I don't like that one either, but
that's all right. You don't have to. This is why I hate it when mom and dad.
That's why we get our own picks, right?
It is exactly why we get our own picks. Why we don't do show picks. All right, well, get out your pen and paper. Speaking of picks, and thank you very much to what is it, Photo Man?
Yeah, Stephen Williams.
Stephen, yes, my friend, Stephen, for putting this together. Photo Man 75 in Discord. Beautiful. I obviously put in the picks because he didn't know them at the time. We didn't give him the picks ahead of time to cheat. But I put those in, but he definitely did that. And Steve and I made one change to it as well. Instead of our NASCAR Gambling logo, I went ahead and put the King of Tough 250 in there because I do like the way that looks. So get out your pen and paper. For those of you listening to the traditional podcast, it's time to go over our picks. Cody started you off with Jordan Anderson as a top 5 car at 6-1. I gave you John Hunter Nemechek over Justin Allgaier at -115. Cody gave you Chandler Smith as the top Toyota at +290. Double down with Jeffrey Earnhardt as a top Toyota at 12-1 as well. I said Jesse Love was going to finish in the top 5 at +225. Cody disagrees. Cody gave you Riley Herbst as a top 5 car at +290. I don't disagree. And then I gave you Sam Mayer as a top 5 car at +140, rekindling my love for junior motorsports. Cody gave you Jeffrey Earnhardt as a top 5 car at 14-1. I said Ryan Truex was going to be a top 3 car at 5-1. And then Cody's riding that car lift with Ryan Sieg. That is a top 3 at 12-1, a top 5 at 6-1, 60-1 to win. And if you can find some top 4 numbers, they are out there. If you find one, go ahead and take that one as well. Ride that car lift all the way to the top. I said that Parker Retzlaff was going to actually have a pretty good day this weekend, and he's going to win Group C at +330 over Josh Williams, not his teammate, Jeb Burton, and SVG. And then Cody gave you Riley Herbst at 16-1, Brandon Jones at 30-1, and Jordan Anderson at 80-1 to win the race. I gave you Austin Hill at +320, AJ Allmendinger at +950, and then Ryan Truex at 18-1 to win this race. The Raptor King of Tough 250. 50. Once again, thank you, Steven, for the graphic. That's fantastic. I will continue to use that. However, we do need to get a blank one where I can manipulate the actual speedway every week. So
There you go.
yeah, but thanks a lot. This is why I love you guys so much. Like, being an active part of the show. I mean, as a podcast listener, I do know that sometimes there's shows where I don't get involved because I'm just like, they don't really care. But yeah, let that never be us, Cody.
We care, Rod. We do. We like interacting with you guys. We appreciate it. That's been one of the best parts about having the live shows this year on the pick shows is getting to interact with you guys. You can ask questions like, we didn't talk about Cole Custer today, but if you want to know our opinion on him, you drop the question in there and you can get an answer. So appreciate it. We love you guys interacting. The Discord, obviously, the conversation's always going over there. So we appreciate it. And yeah, let's go. We've wrapped up our Super Speedway picks now. We're done with them. Come back next week. Stick with us. It won't be so chaotic. It'll be a lot more predictable. We'll be a lot more positive behind our picks and feeling like they're very good picks. So, I mean, we feel that way too, but anything can happen at these super speedways, as you know. So we'll have much more of angles next week for sure at Las Vegas. So looking forward to that. DFS/Underdog show tomorrow. Rod, they're just giving us this is like a free square on Kyle Larson over on Underdog. So come back tomorrow for the rest of the picks, but I think you know what that one is.
Oh yeah. I'm thinking there's a much whatever the option is to the right of the one that you're going to pick. I think that's the one you're going to pick. So
yes, exactly.
All right. Well, then we'll wrap it up here for the Xfinity edition of the show. Cody, on our way out, please tell everybody where they can continue to follow you after we turn off the lights.
Yeah, follow me on the X at @Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my work over there. Yeah, there's a lot of it. So check out the F1 Gambling Podcast too. We had an episode earlier this week. We were talking about IndyCar, actually going over the win totals. There were 7 of those available. So covered all of those, gave our opinions and picks on each one, which was a lot of fun. Man, IndyCar is almost here. F1 starts next week. It's a beautiful thing. Enjoy the super speedway racing this week. And yeah, join us again tomorrow.
Indeed. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review. Check out the back road tonight in about an hour or so. We're going to be kicking that off as well. Talking Atlanta with Seth, and we'll be doing that live as well. All right. We'll be back tomorrow, DFS and the Underdog picks for this slate. Until then, everybody, have some fun with your evening. Let's go racing and let it ride.